Okay, guys. Scout your notebooks. And at the top, let's write adding and subtracting fractions.
I'm pretty sure, girl.
Okay. When we add or subtract fractions, the first thing we need to do is get a common denominator. Now, how do you get a common denominator? Well, in the last chapter, we talked about finding the least common multiple. And so to get a common denominator, we need to find the least common multiple. The next thing we need to do is we need to get equivalent fractions. The third thing we're going to do is either add or subtract the numerators. With adding and subtracting fractions, the denominators will stay the same. And then the final thing that we're going to be doing is reducing the fraction. Or reducing the answer. And the way we reduce the answer is by dividing by the greatest common factor. Now, let's say, you don't need to put this in your notebooks yet, or at this point you don't need to. But, let's say you had 1/2, let's change it. Let's say we had 1/5 plus 1/4. Now, if we were to draw this fraction one of those sections would be colored in, because that would be 1/5. For the 1/4, one of those sections would be colored in. Now, in my drawing, what do you notice is the difference between this one and this one? Shayna?
The top one has 5.
Okay, the top one has 5 and the bottom one has 4 sections. Steph, what else? In the bottom one, the sections are bigger than the top. And that's why when we add fractions, we must get a common denominator. We must get that the sections are the exact same size. It'd be like saying if you added pennies and nickels. Well, pennies are counting by 1, nickels are counting by 5. So if you had 3 pennies and let's say 4 nickels, we can't say that we have a total of 7 cents. Because pennies are worth 1 cent, nickels are worth 5 cents. Okay, so we can't just simply add up the 3 plus the 4. Okay? And that's a bad example of it, but we have to get the sizes the same. So, now, example. Now this is what you can write down in your notebooks. If we have 1/5 plus 1/4. Step 1, we have to get a common denominator. How do we get a common denominator? We need to find the least common multiple of the denominator. So, if you remember last time, one way to get the least common multiple is simply list the multiples of them. So, multiples of 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. For 5, 10, 15, and 20. And so 20 is our least common multiple. That least common multiple will now become our least common denominator. So now, step 2 says get equivalent fractions. When you add or subtract fractions, I want you guys to write the problem up and down. So we're going to take this 1/5 plus 1/4, and we're going to write the problem up and down. 1/5 plus 1/4. Now our common multiple is 20. So that is going to become our new denominator. And now here's where we get equivalent fractions. 4 times what is 20? 4 times 5. Since we took the bottom times 5, we now need to take the top times 5. 1 times 5 is 5. For this one, 5 times what is 20? 4. So now we take the top times 4. And 1 times 4 is 4. Now, let's prove that. Let's go back to our example here. Here's our whole one. In this example, we broke it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Now we're going to break it into 20 sections. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, oops, 20. Okay, not real perfect, but we said that 1/5 was the same as 4/20. So that means we're going to color in 4 of these sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that this 4/20 is pretty, if I were to be really perfect with my drawing, would be exactly the same as what this drawing is. It's the exact same amount. Now we come down to this one. Here we have, we're going to break that into 20 sections as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Not real perfect. Okay, if I were to get a ruler out, I could have made it a lot more perfect. But we said that 1/4 is the same as 5/20. So we're going to color in 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so would you agree that 1/4 is about the same as 5/20? And so that proves that these are equivalent fractions. They mean the exact same thing. Now we have the sections. These sections here are the exact same size. Now we can add. We have 5 sections here and 4 sections there. So that's a total of how many sections? 9. So now when we come over to our answer, after we got our equivalent fraction, it says either add or subtract the numerators. Well, in this situation, we're adding. So we're going to add 4 plus 5. 4 plus 5 is 9. If we look back here, the denominator stays the same. Our denominator is 20. And so we have 9/20. Now the last thing it says, we're going to reduce the fraction. Is there anything that we can divide 9 and 20 both by other than 1? What can we divide 9 by? We can divide 9 by what? Evan? 3. Can we divide 20 by 3? No, we can't. And so in this situation, this is in what we call simplest form. And so your answer would be 9/20. Okay? Let's do another example. Three-fourths minus 1/3. Now, you don't need to draw the picture, okay? But if we were to draw a picture, they're supposed to be the exact same size. This first one says 3/4, so we're going to break this into 4 sections. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to color 3 of these sections in. This one is 1/3, so we're going to break it into 3 sections. Now all those sections are supposed to be the same size as well. Now, you notice once again, the size of the sections are different. This section is a lot smaller than this section. So we got to get the sections to be the same size. So what do we do when we subtract? First thing we do is we got to get a common denominator. How do we get a common denominator? We list the multiples of the denominator. So we're going to list the multiples of 4 and 3. Multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12. Multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, and 12. You guys don't, you can write this down. You don't need to write the drawings down. And so 12 would be our least common multiple. Yes?
Couldn't it just do like 3 times 4?
That will work. It will get you a common multiple, but I'll show you an example later where it doesn't always give you the least common multiple. Okay? Like I said, I'll show you an example a little bit later in which that it will give you a common one, but not the least common one. So, now, we got the least common multiple. Now we need to get equivalent fractions. Once again, when we add or subtract fractions, I want you to write the problems up and down. So we're going to have 3/4 minus 1/3. And now we're going to change it so that our denominator is 12. So 3/4 equals something over 12. 1/3 equals something over 12. 3 times what is 12? 4. So then we take the top times 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times what is 12?
3.
Take the top times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now, just to prove that 9/12 is the same as 3/4, if I take my exact same drawing up here, and this time I break it into 12 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oops, a little bit big, sorry. Not quite perfect. Now I'm going to color in 9 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I didn't do a really good job. This first section is a little bit too small. Here we have 4/12. So once again, we're going to break it into 12 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Hopefully this is a little bit closer. Now we're going to color in 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so this one shows a little bit better where 1/3 is about the same as 4/12. Means the exact same thing. Now, we're going to subtract them. So that means that we're going to take these 4 away from these 9. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 9 minus 4 is obviously 5. So we have 5 sections left over that are colored in. Now each of those sections is a 12, and so our answer would be 5/12. Once again, we check to see, can we reduce the fraction? The only thing we can divide 5 by is, other than 1, is 5. Can we divide 12 by 5? No, we can't. And so 5/12 would be our answer in the simplest form. Now, Evan, you said about, can we just simply multiply the denominators together? Okay? Let me give you an example of one that it will give you a common one, but it won't be the least common one. Let's say we had 5, 6 minus 3, 8. Okay, Evan? So now, if we were to write up and down, you'd have 5, 6 minus 3, 8. Now you're saying if we multiply the 6 and the 8 together, that equals 48. If we list the multiples of 6 and 8, multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and 48. Now, 48 is a common multiple. However, 24 is the least common multiple. So like I said, if you multiply them together, it will give you a common multiple, but it may not always be the least common multiple. Okay? Okay, let's get your boards out and practice.